Should we do a close-up and find out? I got a zoom lens on this. Open wide.
I think I do.
Say hi.
Hi. Hi.
Whoa, Ron Bruck. Well, you were talking about I like to know how you like your tongue. Hey, Norman. Where's your plate?
I can say it's nice to be on Sunday. Glad to be here. I wrote a few notes. Well, he's going to be last. He better have some notes so he won't duplicate what we both say. I want to take you back a few years. You see the pictures over there. Dad left England when he was 16 years of age. He brought his arithmetic book over with him. I'm going to give you one problem out of his book, and then you can decide if you want to figure that, and maybe you can figure it. He said, as I was going, the book, this is a 6th grade math book. He said, as I was going down the street, I met a woman driving geese. I said, good morning, madam, with your 100 geese. She says, I haven't 100, nor a half 100. But if I had twice as many more and half as many more, I'd have 100. And 2 1/2, I'd have 100. How many was she driving? That was a 6th grade problem in England. You forgot that one? All right, I'll give you one more. A fish's head is 12 inches long. Its body is as long as its head and tail. Its tail's half as long as its head. And its body is as long as its head and tail. How long is the fish? Those are 6th grade problems. You figure the answer, and then if I give you the answer, then you won't even try to figure it. Dad worked 2 years in the state of Illinois as he's working his way out here, and then settled in South Dakota. His brother, William Gammon, Dad was adopted by the Gammons, and he had a brother, a blood brother, whose name was John Slocum. And he settled in Whitefish, South Dakota. And William Gammon, who was a brother by adoption to the Dad being adopted to Gammons, worked with William Gammon, who married Cora Ellis in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And then he left there and came to Utah, where Thomas Gammon lived in Provo, who was a convert to the church, Thomas and Elizabeth Day Gammon. And then he found employment on Provo Bench. This was not Orem then, and worked on Provo Bench for W.E. Berry, a retired major in the Black Hawk War, and this was a hop farm that he worked on. My mother was a maid for Mrs. Nellie Berry. They were not members of the church. And this is where Dad and Mother met. And of course, the courtship loomed and they were finally married. If you know where the Chikorama eating place is in Orem, that's about where they met. It's right in that same area. Dad was not a member of the church. Mother was born in Denmark and came with her parents to Utah to settle here when she was about 4 years old. She arrived here in Utah. But that's a little history of them. Now, when they came here, there were very few roads. There were no hard surface roads. There was no electricity, as Leroy had said. And Dad helped a lot in the building of roads. Where Leroy and I were born, down by the shores of Utah Lake, west of Geneva Steel Plant, there was a trail to get over to the home. The home would be, perhaps a little northwest of what is the open hearth furnace of Geneva Steel Company. And when they bought the home where Wayne and Russell and Gail and all of them are familiar with, when they purchased that home, they didn't have a road to travel over there. We traveled through the Holdaway fields, open gates, herded cattle away so that they could make their way across the pasture and over to the home that they purchased. There was an old log cabin on the home, which was the home of old Shadrach Holdaway, which is Lynn Holdaway's great, I guess. Did I put enough greats on there? Grandfather. And this was his abode at that time, or the Holdaway abode. And that log building stood there when our folks moved in there. They, of course, built up a pretty good homestead after they moved there. And since Wayne mentioned hauling hay, I rode the horse on the hay fork over there, and it was a pretty sleepy job. You'd have to wait once in a while, and of course I'd go to sleep, and Dad knew how to use the wheel pretty good, and he'd wake me up every once in a while, and I'd remember that tanning for quite a little while, so I stayed awake much better for quite a period of time. Welby went to sleep on the horse as he was riding on the hay fork horse, and of course Dad had a voice that carried pretty well. to give you an idea of what went on when we were hauling hay, as he'd get the Jackson fork into the fork of hay, he'd holler, "Go ahead!" That was the call you'd hear all the time. It wasn't loud enough to wake Welby up one day, and so Welby got a little striping for going to sleep. But that was some of the things. On Halloween, this was something that kids enjoyed doing, is tipping those outside Freddies over. And I was quite worried myself for fear she'd find herself in there and somebody would tip it over on the door. But it didn't happen, but it has happened to some.
Why did they put a half moon in the door, though?
You've got to see out of something.
Oh, the pastor took the shower, or you couldn't see him.
Well, the half moon was high enough that you couldn't see what was going on in there anyway. Dad and Mother served for over 30 years on the Old Folks Committee in Utah State and Sharon State and the Vineyard Ward. So you can understand that Mother did a lot of cooking for older people, and it was customary for her to take food around wherever there was sickness, and that still goes on today. That's a very nice tradition that parents from way back have taught their children. Tramps seem to have our place marked. In the early days, it was quite common for tramps to come along the road and would ask for something to eat. And it seemed like there was very few days that would go by through the summer months when they could travel on, ride the freight trains, but it was warm enough so that they could travel wherever they wanted to go. But they always seemed to find our place to eat. And I remember, and I'm sure Leroy and Welby will remember this man by the name of Dunham. They came there, a tramp, and he said, "I'd like a meal," but he said, "I want to work for it." Well, we raised quite a few sugar beets, and this man Dunham said, "I'll weed that patch of sugar beets." There was 11 acres in it, and believe it or not, he weeded that whole patch. There was a lot of weeds in it. He weeded it all in that day for the food that he got. But of course, Dad paid him a little money for his work and gave him food to take with him on his way. But it was most of the time when the tramps had come, they'd get a bite and be on their way. Dad served on as a school board trustee for a number of years when they had what they called the old Lincoln District. And then they elected to the Alpine School Board of Education and served there for a number of years. Clarence also served on the Board of Education, and they contributed much to that. I think I've taken more time than I should. I want you to know it's a pleasure to be here and to meet all of you. And if there's some I haven't met, I'd sure love to meet you and know who you are. Now, you may want to know the size of our family. Pauline and I were married in 1933. We have 37 grandchildren. We have 16 great-grandchildren. Our family totaled 7 children. Thank you. I want to tell you that weight is a pretty heavy load when your mouth is in the dirt. And that's the way I was when we were on Old Belt together.